There is a great precedent for a reset in the Sonic series at this point in time, and I believe this for a great variety of reasons, not the least being fan communication. As many of you are well aware, the Sonic community makes their opinions quite vocal a lot of the time, and whether we get a response or not from Sega publicly, they do take note of a lot of what is said. In recent years, the Sonic multimedia sectors have been performing quite well, with the IDW comics and especially the Sonic movie, and of course we have Sonic Prime coming up later on. IDW, but to a greater extent the movie itself, started with somewhat of a reset or a fresh start. With IDW, it was more that they had to work off of Sonic forces, and they had to try and re-establish certain elements or reintroduce certain elements based on what was lacking from forces, and they were also limited in what they were allowed to talk about. Not everything from the past could show up. Whereas in the movie, they had less restrictions on them because they just started completely from scratch. Now, Sega obviously is not looking to do a full-on reboot of that nature with their mainline games, but a softer style of reboot, or even a subtle change of identity, is on the table. Another reason that Sega would have for wanting to reset Sonic is due to the amount of criticisms they've been getting for the past decade over their Boost formula. The Boost has plenty of fans, and critics seemed to be on its side for a while at least, but in more recent years they've been getting diminishing returns from this format, with Forces obviously having quite severe criticisms. All of these factors and more suggest that Frontiers might truly be the time Sega resets the gaming franchise. Sonic Team head Iizuka himself has stated in interviews that Frontiers is to be the foundation for the next decade of Sonic. That alone is a very leading statement. Being a foundation implies future things will be built off of it, and in these interviews he compared this to the way Sonic Adventure created the early platform for the earlier on 2000 games to be built off, such as Heroes or Adventure 2. Of course, those ideals waned around the time of Sonic Unleashed, but Iizuka is saying that Frontiers will do a similar thing for the 2020s and beyond. The most important aspect for the reset theory is to do with narrative. In recent years, both the Sonic movie and the IDW comics have found relative success, and something those two mediums share is that they're narratively focused. They have no gameplay to speak of whatsoever. And with Sonic Frontiers, we have had the public announcement that they've in fact hired IDW comic writer Ian Flynn to work on the narrative of Sonic Frontiers itself, which shows a direct interest on granting the story greater focus within the games. For the past decade or so, stories in Sonic games had been rather downplayed, with Forces being the main game of recent years to try and focus on its plot. However, that game was plagued with a multitude of problems ranging from overambition, poor execution, and mischaracterization. By bringing on someone who's been working with these characters for an incredibly long amount of time, as well as the fact that they have noted taking inspiration directly from the films when it came to the combat decisions, it's quite clear that Sonic Team are aiming to take some of that narrative success and perhaps use it as the framework to build the future of the games upon. In a rather fitting manner for a game that sets about to reset the series, our characters appear to be inflicted with a bout of amnesia this time around. Of course, starting the game from this blank slate allows the characters to experience events at the same time as the player. It also means that players who have not been around for too long or are brand new won't have any baggage they need to carry on from the past, whilst players that have been playing for a long time will be able to notice subtle hints and reminders of the past. If the rumours of collecting memories are true, then this bolsters this idea further, as each memory would be able to establish relevant past events that are being retained from previous Sonic experiences, and it would be safe to assume that anything that isn't referenced in the game or through collectible memories probably is not intended to be too important for the series moving on. Likewise, this would also help justify any personality shifts Frontiers might bring to our main cast. Whether this involves returning them to their state in the 2000s or taking them in a new direction altogether, the memory loss and regaining process will be a valid way of showing our characters change from how they've been in the more recent 2010 games. Based on what we've heard about the beginning of the experience, it seems that Sonic Frontiers is aiming to cement a core cast for the new direction of the series, chiefly with Tails and Amy as they are accompanying Sonic and become one of the main objectives of the game. This is an interesting choice, but not completely unexpected. In recent games, Tails, Knuckles and Amy have been shackled to Sonic, for better or worse, even though they've not been playable. It's clear that for marketing purposes, this is a core group of four that Sega want to push forward. Knuckles is not mentioned alongside Tails and Amy, but we know he will have a presence because of the teased Frontiers short featuring Knuckles that's yet to release. It's unclear if he will be in the game directly, but we at least know through that teaser that he will be relevant to the events of the game. And also, he was shown guarding the Master Emerald once again on Angel Island, which for the main games has not been done in a very long time. This could be taken as an indication that this resetting in Frontiers will be returning our characters to more prominent roles rather than purely background support like they have been recently. Shadow the Hedgehog has not been officially mentioned yet, but he is a rather safe bet for inclusion, on top of the fact that many of the leaks suggest he will be present as well. He may play an interesting role where this time he would be the one character without amnesia. It is possible he will know something about the events of the game, but may pretend not to at first with an amnesia Sonic. In this sort of scenario, Shadow would still be able to have his mysterious in-between role that Sega want to push, where he's not completely with Sonic, but he's not completely against him. But this way, he's not doing so in an antagonistic way. Perhaps he thinks it's best for Sonic and friends, for whatever reason, that they don't remember everything right away, or there may be some other reason he is unable or unwilling to divulge the information. Perhaps he may not even trust Sonic anymore until he regains his information. And in this scenario, you could even have them clash without it appearing that Shadow's just being moody for no reason. It's a possible, interesting dynamic to set Shadow up on this time around. We'll see if they take it, but at the very least, it appears Shadow is going to be treated with some level of mystery for this game. We know that Eggman is present in this game to some degree. There's been evidence of Eggman tech in the demo, and more importantly, his voice actor Mike Pollock has talked about enjoying some voice acting. Of course, having Eggman's voice doesn't mean Eggman is actually present, but I think it's fair to assume he'll make at least a brief appearance. For this reason, it's quite possible he will not be the primary antagonist, and this could be quite useful to help give his character some time to settle as they work to reshape his attitude going forward, without having to have him be entirely absent from the events of the game. Of course, the 2010s have shown us it's more than possible there'll be an endgame reveal that he was behind it all along, but I would hope not. Eggman's character has lost a bit of credibility as far as menacing villains, even in Forces where he should have been his most menacing. Certain aspects of his characterization made it hard to take him seriously in the way the writers would have hoped. So this is a great chance to bring him back down and build him up again. Frontier's Starfall Islands are populated by new hostile cyberspace enemies, and they have clearly been designed to support the theme of mystery and the unknown in this game, but leaks suggest they might have also been ancient in nature. Ian Flynn has stated there will be a few connections to past games somewhere in the script, so it is possible we will learn that this entity has been active for some time. Having a fresh opponent is a great aid for establishing a new beginning to kick off the next decade of Sonic, and their unique designs compared to Eggman robots will help make a clear distinction between the two sides. Ian Flynn also hinted that there would be an unknown character which Sonic spends a lot of time with in this game. It is quite possible that this new or returning character will fill a similar companion role much like Shara, Melina or Elise have done in previous games. They may only be relevant for Frontiers, but leave a lasting impression on Sonic and perhaps set up a future story beat. A bit like Sonic keeping Chip's bracelet at the end of Unleashed, except he would still wear it in the future this time. Alternatively, this character might become a recurring member of the cast, which is rather self-explanatory as to how this would help promote a new direction for the games. I believe that this narrative aspect of my reset theory holds some ground, not only due to the points I've just brought up, but also as a result of the behaviour Sega themselves have taken recently. Tales Tube seemingly is all about cleaning up narrative inconsistencies and retcons, and if I remember correctly, they have also been worked on by Ian Flynn. The Encyclospedia came out not too long ago, and to the best of my knowledge attempts a similar thing as it chronologues all of the past story events for the series. This is a pattern of establishing or resetting the Sonic narrative that indicates a start that could be built off of in the future. This reset theory also applies to the gameplay as well, moving away from the boost-centric style we have witnessed for the last decade. Whilst the linear stages will still feature boosting, it is currently unclear if they will take a sizable amount of the game time. The open world is the main draw of the marketing and has the most new elements designed for it, so this cyberspace setup may be to allow Sega the chance to experiment without completely abandoning their current formula, unlike what happened with Lost World, where they left the boost behind and introduced a parkour system that did not catch on, resulting in them having to retread old ground with forces later. The linear stages may not have a damaging boost at all though, in which case this would be more like a deliberate move to redefine 3D gameplay without needing the boost. RPG elements like leveling up and unlockable moves may end up becoming a series staple depending on their reception in Frontiers. By making it optional, as interviews have said, the game allows players to decide how much they wish to engage with the combat and thereby warm themselves up to the concept. It appears core statistics such as max speed are tied to leveling up, so a platform-only player might find themselves giving combat and puzzles a go to raise their speed. A clever design choice so long as they made those elements enjoyable. Even though strange rock Chow creatures play a part in this, they might be a replacement for the Chow of old, which I wouldn't like, but I can understand that these creatures would not need to live up to all the features of a Chow garden. Perhaps they are being used to test the waters on a full Chow feature, which really shouldn't need any tests because a lot of people have been clear they want the Chow garden. Whether or not they can be interacted and raised, or are just NPCs, remains uncertain, but they do present opportunities for development down the road. Iizuka has stated that one of the lessons Sonic Team have learned is to keep 2D gameplay and 3D gameplay separate from now on. The lack of 2D despite Frontiers having at least 2 gameplay modes is indicative of this. However, it wouldn't be the first time we were told something that turned out to be false. Still, if Frontiers keeps true to that claim, it will be the first main game since 06 to do so, which is long enough to consider that a reset at this point. Of course, this is simply a theory, and some of the evidence comes from my own speculation, but I think there's enough sound connections here to make it somewhat feasible. But let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and if you have similar ideas, or perhaps you think I've missed something that supports this one. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. Not many do, and it's a great boost for me and the channel for those that stay. If you continue to enjoy my content, I would love to have you subscribe and like the video to further boost its performance and keep the message out there. I hope you have a great day, and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.